So at this point, everybody should be seeing my screen. What I'm looking at right here is greenshadesonline.com. So at Greenshades, what we deal with is really kind of split into two categories. You know, it all ties back to compliance ultimately, but really what we focus on when it comes to payroll and human resources is sort of half compliance applications, and then the other half is the employee self-service portal. So for those of you who have been working with Greenshades for many years now, you know that our history really all revolves around tax compliance and tax filings, and that's really how we got our start back in the early 90s, was producing electronic Magnetia files to submit to the government agencies, where we were pulling the data directly from Great Plains and converting that data into an electronic file format to submit to the government agencies. And then over the years, we started branching out into the employee portals. It started with our Forms Lite product for assisting our clients in distributing tax forms at the end of the year, W-2s, 1099s, that sort of thing. And then back in 2007, we started the Download My Form product, where you could post W-2s online for your employees to access electronically. And then from there, we've continued to grow that employee self-service portal, and certainly that's something that most businesses these days kind of demand, that sort of product where they want the employees to be engaged and be able to do things in more of a self-service fashion, so that not everything falls back on the payroll and HR folks when it comes time for employees to go through the new hire orientation and fill out all the new hire paperwork, or maybe update their addresses, or go through benefits enrollment, open enrollment, that sort of thing, time and attendance, a variety of things that can now be done with software applications. It can be done directly by the employees, just to help automate the process across the board, and of course ultimately see a savings there. So over the years, the employee portal has really grown in popularity here at Greenshades, and we've continued to expand that employee self-service portal. Across the board though, when we're talking about the Greenshades applications, one of the nice things about it is that everything at Greenshades is available in an a la carte fashion. So many of you probably already are using Greenshades, but you're not all using the same thing, and you're not all using everything, and that's certainly fine. You're able to work with the TM group to kind of design a plan that fits your organization nicely, so that you're only really purchasing the applications that solve for what it is that you actually have at hand that you need to solve for, so you're not having to necessarily purchase everything if you don't need everything. So what we're going to be looking at today, though, is the administrator side of the portal and then the employee side of the portal. So we're looking at the web applications today. These are hosted applications. All of our products integrate directly with the Microsoft Dynamics system. They're all built for the Microsoft Dynamics system, so you don't need to worry about integration or anything like that. We do work closely with the TM group, but we do provide unlimited technical support for our products. So as you go through implementation and you need training and you have questions and all those things, our support team can always continue to work with you, and that's always available to you at no additional charge for any of the products that you're actually using. So again, what we're looking at right here, right now at the moment, is the Greenshades Online application. So again, this is a web hosted application. I went to greenshadesonline.com, where, as you can see, this is kind of the landing page for the administrator portal. And so from here, you can really do a variety of things. I mean, ultimately, the products that we have in place are designed to make it easier to process payroll in-house using Microsoft Dynamics, and to manage human resource in-house, without outsourcing those services to some sort of service provider, utilizing the Dynamics GPHR module, for example, in conjunction with Greenshades. You can, manage all of that in-house. So what you'll see right here, we've got a variety of things that we can support here. When you're looking at the employee self-service portal, you can post employee pay statements, of course, online, so your employees can view their payroll, their pay stubs, W-2s. You can manage your payroll taxes through here. So one of the nice things about looking at something like this is, when you're running payroll in-house, generally managing payroll taxes is typically the biggest concern and potentially even the biggest burden when you're running payroll in-house. So there are some solutions here that are available that will just help kind of guide you along the way. So it will assist you in distributing those payroll taxes to the correct agencies once those taxes are actually coming due, be it at the federal level, the state level, and the local jurisdictions as well. This can assist with that. So that's what we're looking at right here with the upcoming tax deadlines. Again, just some general stats here about our employee population for the employee services. We've got our year-end forms right here. So as you're going throughout the year, as you're processing payroll and managing the services, at the end of the year you have these tax forms that you need to distribute. And of course, over the years, W-2s have always been distributed, and other types of forms, non-employee compensation such as 1099, miscellaneous. But then this year, for the first time, starting in January, of course, you'll have the new Affordable Care Act form that you need to distribute, the 1095-C. And so that's now also something that can be distributed through Greenshades, and we'll be sure to take a look at that here in just a moment. So as I look across the top of the page here, I can navigate to different functions depending on what exactly it is that I'm trying to accomplish once I come out here. So the core way that you're processing payroll right now does not need to change within Microsoft Dynamics, regardless of what products you're looking at through Greenshades, regardless of what role we play. You'll continue to essentially process payroll the same way that you're doing right now. Because this has a direct integration with Microsoft Dynamics, there's nothing that you have to do to initiate the data going from Dynamics up here to the Greenshades Online portal. So as you're processing payroll in-house, you're posting checks, going through all those regular routines, all of that payroll is going to automatically post up here. You get notifications when the payroll has posted online, and you can even see right here where you can quickly come in and see your most recent payroll summary, so you can get a good feel for whether or not you're potentially missing employees, or maybe you process some checks, you ran payroll and it's not showing up online yet. You can come in here and take a look at this information and kind of figure out what potentially is missing here. And so this is just kind of providing a general breakdown of our payroll information right here. Again, just some summary level details that we're able to see on the administrator side. And as we're looking at Greenshades Online, the administrator side of the portal, anyone in your organization can have access to this. So there is an administrator side, and then there's an employee side where, of course, most likely all of your employees, you would grant access to the employee side of the portal. But on the administrator side, anyone in your organization would be able to come in here and access this information. So you don't have to pay for user licenses or anything like that. And again, they don't necessarily have to be GP users in order to have access to this. It's anyone that you want to set up as an administrator. And as you look to potentially expand the use of the Greenshades systems, you may find yourself in a place where you have certain functions that you want to be accessible by certain individuals in your organization, and other functions that you may not want them to have access to. So you're able to set up limited users within the system, so that way you can perhaps set up someone that has access to the benefits administration data, and then another user that has access to maybe more of the time and attendance information, and then other users that have access to things more pertaining to HR, maybe HR documents and things such as that. All right, so as we're looking here on the left side of the screen, you see there's a variety of things that we can come in here and do. All of the records from Microsoft Dynamics are going to carry over here as far as the employee records. So at any point, you've got these digital folders in here that you can come in and navigate to, and you can take a look at all of the documents pertaining to your employees. You can post in here any history they have within the employee portal, so as they go through benefits enrollment, or they complete time and attendance online, or maybe their managers are completing evaluations for them online, or the employees are signing off on documents, new hire paperwork. All of those things are going to be loaded into their digital folder, so that at any point you can come in here, you can view this information, and then of course if you need to edit any of this information, you're also able to come in here, make adjustments to this, and then all of this data feeds directly back down into Microsoft Dynamics. So it is a two-way synchronization that's occurring. So you don't have to do any kind of export, you don't have to initiate anything. It's all going to be automated, so that you know that what's going on in Microsoft Dynamics will be reflected out here on the Greenshades Online system, and then of course what's happening out here will be reflected back down in Microsoft Dynamics. So certainly the tax service is another big thing here when we're looking at the Greenshades Online system. This is one of the available options that we have that I mentioned here just a moment ago. The payroll tax service is designed to assist users in bringing payroll in-house, or maybe users who are already running payroll in-house. Maybe you're struggling when it comes to payroll taxes. You're processing the payroll in Dynamics, but you have trouble remembering when you have these tax payments actually coming due and these tax filings coming due, or maybe you need help creating the e-files. Maybe certainly in the case with Michigan, you've got more than a certain number of employees, so you're required to submit the unemployment file electronically, that sort of thing. We have applications in place to assist with that. So we have applications that are more software-based applications where it's truly just pulling the data and converting it into an electronic file format. But then we also have more service-based products such as the payroll tax service, where it's a bit more automated and it's sending you alerts and kind of managing the process. So you're literally just coming in here, seeing your to-do list when it comes to your payroll taxes, and you can see, okay, here's when all of my tax payments are coming due, here's when all of my tax filings are coming due, and you can click to pay the taxes and click to file the taxes, and you can do all of that without actually leaving the portal. So you can do everything within here without going out to the agency websites, for example, or without accessing EFTPS to initiate those payments. You can do all of that directly through the Greenshades system, and then behind the scenes, we'll handle the processing of all of that to ensure that those payments and tax returns get to where they need to be in a timely manner. And if you are in a situation where you have multiple legal entities that you're working with as an organization, we're going to split all of that out for you here. So when it comes to taxes and anything else within the employee portal, we're going to split everything out for you so that each legal entity will actually have its own workspace right here in the system. Then, of course, as I mentioned, at the end of the year, when it comes time to distribute those year-end forms, all the data is going to pull directly from Dynamics, and we can assist with the employee compensation, such as the W-2 forms, or the non-employee compensation, like 1099 miscellaneous, or maybe even something like a 1098T or 1042S. So if the data is coming from Dynamics, we can pull the data directly from there, or you can even upload the data via an Excel file. If maybe it's coming from a third-party application, you can upload that data via Excel, and what we're actually going to do is just convert that data in its raw format from Excel or from the Microsoft Dynamics system. We're going to convert that data into a PDF format, so you can literally actually go into the system and print out those W-2s. In the case of W-2s, you can print those W-2s out directly to your employees, but it's generating it in a PDF format so that you can actually print that out to blank perforated paper, so you no longer have to worry about purchasing those pre-printed forms that are certainly never fun to deal with when you have to worry about getting your printer aligned and all of those fun things. So certainly January is always a challenge enough for any business out there, so anything you can do to kind of help make it a little bit easier certainly would be a nice thing. So that's something that you can do within the W-2 portal right here. And if you would like, you can also open it up for the employee access on the employee side of the portal, so your employees can actually go in and they can consent to receive those forms electronically. And so per the IRS regulations, any employee that consents to receive that W-2 electronically, you would not actually have to issue them a paper copy. And so if you open that up to employee access, as the employees consent to view those forms electronically, the Greenshades system will track that, and so that all of those remaining W-2s would be the only W-2s that you would actually need to issue on paper. So at that point, you could choose to print those in-house. You could print those to that blank perforated paper that I was referring to earlier, or you could even hand those over to the Greenshades print and mail service team that we have here, and we can print and mail those W-2s out directly to your employees. And we do over 1 million tax forms every year. Many of you may have used that in the past already. It's really easy to use, very, very cost-effective solution, and again, we do over 1 million a year, so we certainly have the resources to assist you with that. And you can see here when we're looking over this information, you'll have that real-time status breakdown right there of that consent for those employees. So as your employees go in and they consent to view those electronically, you can run those real-time stats at any point using the system. All right, so kind of one of the big things right now that users are talking about, certainly Greenshades users and Microsoft Dynamics users, but really any business around the country right now, we're talking about Affordable Care Act. That is really a popular discussion right now, regardless of how you feel about it from a political point of view. It's something that is in place and something that folks need to be in compliance with. So our benefits management solution that we've had since 2012, it's a full onboarding system when it comes to your employees enrolling in benefits, going through open enrollment, going through new hire enrollment, doing qualifying life events. It's a rules-based system that works directly with Microsoft Dynamics so that the data can be pulled directly from Dynamics. The employees can go through the full enrollment experience, and then all of that will feed directly back down into Microsoft Dynamics after the employee goes through the enrollment process. That product has been around for a number of years now, and it's gone through some major enhancements this year for Affordable Care Act specifically. So this is the new ACA dashboard that we've added to this. Some of you may already be using the benefits enrollment product. Hopefully by this point you've been able to talk with our team about how to utilize the dashboard, but if you haven't, feel free to give us a call or work with the team group and let us know, and we'll be happy to walk through the process of making sure that you're all set up with this new ACA dashboard. But it's a really neat application here that's going to help monitor the employee eligibility for ACA and that coverage verification. So when you're looking at the Affordable Care Act, one of the most important things that you need to do is manage those measurement periods, those look-back periods, and identify for your variable hour employees which employees are exceeding 30 hours of service per week or 130 hours per month on average. And those particular employees would in fact be considered full-time, and they would be eligible for coverage through the Affordable Care Act requirements. So you need to be tracking those hours and ensuring that you know who to actually offer coverage to, but then you also need to make sure that you're offering the proper coverage to those employees as well as their dependents. And so there are some regulations in place with the IRS. Of course, no surprise there. There are rules for everything. So you've got different types of plans that you can offer to your employees. Minimum essential coverage, minimum value plan, for example, and then the affordability of the plan itself, which is based off of some different thresholds, 9.5% of the employee's annual household income primarily. Since most businesses don't know that, you can, you don't generally know what their household income is, so there are some safe harbor options that you can utilize for that. All of that actually needs to be tracked throughout the year and then ultimately reported on the 1095-C at the end of the year that now needs to get issued to the employee. And so if you're on a newer version of Dynamics GP, such as GP 2013 R2 or GP 2015, which hopefully you are, there's certainly a lot of fantastic reasons for being on those. If you're on those applications, on those GP environments at this point, there have been new ACA tables that have been added where you can track that information within GP, but you can also track that information within Greenshades. And if you're using the benefits enrollment solution, it's going to track that eligibility for you, so it alerts you as to which employees are considered full-time, and then it's going to track what coverage you're offering to those employees throughout the year, and it's actually going to populate that 1095-C for you with all of those correct codes assigned to each 1095-C individually. So that's not something that you would have to manually manage. And there's even a forecasting tool right here on the dashboard that my mouse is hovering over right here, which is going to alert you when you have any non-full-time employees who are trending more than 30 hours of service per week. It's going to alert you to that during the measurement period so that you have an opportunity to adjust those hours if need be, or so you can just know from a budgeting perspective that you need to account for those employees that they may potentially need to be offered insurance at the end of that measurement period. So this is going to manage all of that eligibility and coverage verification for you. Now, as I mentioned, at the end of the year, those 1095-Cs can actually be produced directly within the Greenshades software. So as I come in right here on the year-end forms application, you'll see right here that now we've got this 1095-C link right here, and as I click to open that up, we'll be right inside of our 1095-C form set. So all of those 1095-Cs, whether they're coming from the benefits enrollment application if you're using that, or if we're pulling directly from the new ACA tables within GP, again, if you're tracking it there and you're using one of those new versions of GP, we can pull the data right from there, or even from a third-party source. You can upload it via Excel. So we can pull all that 1095-C data over, and you can then go through and complete this year-end forms checklist. using the same software, the Year Inform software that we've had since 2007. So most of you are probably using this by now for other tax forms like the W-2s and 1099s. Same, core application here, except it can now be used for the Form 1095-C. So it's going to populate these 1095-Cs for you, give you an opportunity to distribute these electronically if you choose to do so. You can come in here and you can print on your own to the blank perforated paper. You can utilize the Greenshades print and mail service if you choose to do so, and then ultimately you can e-file this form to the IRS. And if you have more than 250 records, that transmittal form, that 1094-C, actually needs to be issued electronically. So certainly something that you would want to be doing anyways if you have more than 250 records, because the IRS will require you to submit that file electronically. And just like with the 1099s and with the W-2s, if you file electronically, you get an extra month to submit that file, so you actually get until the end of March to submit that file to the IRS. So that just gives you that much longer to make any potential edits or anything like that. And certainly this year it's very important that you have the ability to edit these 1095-Cs prior to distributing to your employees. Most employers at this point are going to have to make some sort of adjustment to the 1095-C, especially the first year. So you can come in here and you can edit any of this information that you need to. If you're self-insured and you need to complete Part 3, we can pull that dependent information from GPHR if you're storing that information in GPHR, or if you're using the benefits enrollment system, we can pull the dependent information directly from there, or of course via Excel, you can upload it, or you can certainly add those covered individuals information right here. And just so you can get an idea for what this looks like once it's all completed, this is what that new 1095-C looks like, and that's an idea of what your employees will see when we take a look at it on the employee side of the portal. Now, if you are using the benefits enrollment system throughout the year, one of the nice things about it is that at any point you can come in here and view your employee details for ACA specifically. So we can come in here right here in the employee digital folder at any time throughout the year, and we can come in and we can start making edits to this information beforehand if we need to. So if you're using the benefits enrollment system or the other option that we have, the Dynamics Payroll Inspector that we'll take a look at in just a moment, you can start making edits to this information throughout the year, so that way you don't have to wait until January to actually edit this in 95C, or of course, if you're updating this information in the new GP ACA tables, you'll certainly be fine there as well. All right, so at this point I'm going to switch over here to the employee portal. So what I've done here is just actually gone out to greenemployee.com. Each business is going to have their own design of this employee portal, and actually your own URL that you can provide to your employees that will take them directly to your company's landing page. So you can have your company logo here, your color, theme, all of your branding. Everything will be branding for your particular business, so the employees will know right away that, hey, I'm in the right spot and I'm recognize my company information. These employee portals available anywhere with an internet connection, so they don't have to be logged into your network through an intranet or anything like that. Anywhere with an internet connection, they can access it from. Any of the major web browsers are going to work just fine. So Internet Explorer, of course, works great. The Google Chrome browser, Safari, Firefox, all of those are going to work fine. Mobile support's fully available, so the employee can use a mobile web browser. Or, of course, right here are links to the App Store and to the Google Play Store. So if they want to download the free smartphone application, they can do that as well. As far as the login requirements go, in this case, we have it tied to last name and employee ID, but there's a variety of fields that you can use, all of which actually tie directly back to fields in Microsoft Dynamics on the employee maintenance card. So it's designed to be fields that the employee is already familiar with and something that they can easily memorize, but is unique to them, so you don't have to worry about as you have new hires that you bring on board. You don't have to worry about having to set them up as an employee in Dynamics and in Greenshades. All you have to do is set them up in Microsoft Dynamics as you're doing right now, and then they'll automatically receive access to the Green Employee Portal. All right, so depending on, ultimately what you choose to make available to your employee as they access the employee portal, they'll see those particular functions. So as we come in here to the landing page, this is our general landing page for our employee, kind of company news board here, any sort of announcements to the employee, notifications, relevant payroll information to the employee. Again, this is their dashboard right here. So whatever it is that they would like to see here, there's some different widgets that they can add and remove from this home screen, all which can be adjusted within the employee's account settings. So it can be very configurable to the employee, and at the employer level, you're able to make adjustments as well as far as what exactly the employee can see as they access the portal. And then, of course, as the employee is using this throughout the year, certainly the electronic earning statements are one of the most commonly used things on a regular basis. As you're processing payroll in Microsoft Dynamics, the employee can receive notifications. You can see right here where it says enable pay stub notifications. So the employee can get email alerts, they can get text message alerts if they choose to do so, and all of those alerts are sent out automatically. So there's nothing that you have to do to initiate that process, and literally all you have to do is process payroll in Dynamics, and once you're ready, those checks will be automatically uploaded to the portal for your employees to access. And if I do the drop down right here, you'll see there's history. It's fully available to the employee. So from day one of you using this service, if you have history in Microsoft Dynamics, we're going to carry that history over so the employees can see all of their historical earning statements there. And if they open that up in a separate browser, you see here I can just click on this open a new window, and this will give you kind of a full view of that earning statement. And there's different templates that you can choose from, different layouts, just depending on what your, what kind of look and feel you want your employees to have. All they need is a PDF reader to view this. So if they, actually don't have a PDF reader somehow on their computer, then we'll actually give them a link right in the software right here where the pay statement should be. There'd be a link there saying, hey, you need a PDF reader. Click this link to download a free Adobe PDF reader. So very simple for the employee. And there are other things that you can choose to utilize on the employee portal as well to tie back to their earning statements, like the direct deposit enrollment. So if you want your employees to be able to edit their direct deposit information, enroll in direct deposit, add new accounts, various things like that, they can do that from the employee portal. They can add and edit their W-4s. All of this information goes through an approval process, but then all feeds back into Microsoft Dynamics so that you don't have to manually enter any of that information back in Dynamics. All right, so if I click the drop-down right here, you'll see the tax forms are the other options that we have right here. So at the end of the year, certainly the W-2s can be posted over. I mentioned earlier that the W-2s can be made available to your employees. Let me back this up just a little bit so you can see it a little better. So I mentioned you can make the W-2s available to your employees. We'll track as the employees consent to receive that electronically so that each W-2 received electronically would be one less you have to issue on paper. So that's what the employee would see as they go there to view that W-2. And then of course the new form, the 1095-C, the employee can also see once they come out here. And I've already got that one opened up here as well. So again, all PDFs so the employees can just print that directly to blank paper. And to give you an idea of what we're actually doing as the employee goes to view that W-2 or 1095-C, we're going to have this consent box pop up right here. There's actually a little PDF window right here, and then in this case it says UBDPW. So the employee would actually put that verification code right here. That is effectively verifying that they have a PDF reader, because if they didn't have a PDF reader, they wouldn't be able to read that code. So you're verifying that they have a PDF reader and they're consenting to receive that form. And the IRS regulations do state that the W-2 and 1095-C can be consented to be viewed electronically at the same time as long as it's explicitly stated that it's a W-2 and 1095-C. So that's what we've done right here so that the employee can do both those things at the same time. So all tying back to the Affordable Care Act I mentioned earlier about the benefits enrollment product. So we've got these different links across the top of the page up here where the employee can navigate to do different functions within the employee portal. Certainly the benefits enrollment is talked a lot about right now because of the ACA enhancements that we've made to it. But in addition to all of the ACA compliance that it handles, it is a full benefits management solution. So it's a rules-based system, so you can set up rules within the system to manage which employees are going to have access to which benefit groups and which benefit packages, all based off of data coming out of Dynamics. So based on, for example, things like if they're in this employee class or that employee department or years of service with the organization, and then you can set up all of your benefit plans in the system and different groups of benefit plans, 401k and life insurance and miscellaneous plans and health insurance. And then all of this is presented to your employees so that they can go through and do open enrollment here or claim qualifying life events if they get married or have a child, that sort of thing. The new hire enrollment, all of that can be done through here. And all of their dependent information is carried over right here as well. So if it's in GPHR already, we'll pull from there. But if it's not, the employee can actually come in here. They can click on that edit link, and they can actually add their dependents directly into the employee portal. This all feeds back into GPHR after it goes through, of course, the approval process that you set up in the system. But it's also going to be here for the employee to utilize as they go through the enrollment process. They're able to come in here, choose the insurance that they want to enroll in, and they can choose which dependents they want to be covered by those plans. And that's what we'll see right here. If I come in here and say, you know what, I want to do employee plus child or employee plus spouse, if they have if they have children and a spouse in the system, they can do those types of plans, and they would just simply come in here and select the dependents that they want to be included in that. And if you have any kind of documentation that you may want, any sort of additional details such as this, data that you want the employee to be able to see to do a grid comparison between different plans, you can do that. But also if you have any PDFs or actual plan documents, you can load those into the system so the employee has full access to all of that as well. And you can see here, just very straightforward to the employee, laying it out exactly what they have available to them, what they want to enroll in, what they choose to waive. And the employee is going to be required to either enroll or waive on all of these coverages that are available to them. So that way you have on hand when the employee waives that health insurance, for example. And we'll track that, and that's very important for the ACA so that the 1095-C is populated correctly at the end of the year. All right, so let me go ahead and leave that page right there. So the other thing I was going to mention in here real quickly is the time and attendance application, another optional module for the employee self-service portal. So this was originally designed a number of years ago now. It was designed to really replace systems where, for businesses that were using Excel spreadsheet, for example, for tracking their employees' time, and then they were collecting that from their employees and then manually keying all that data back in Microsoft Dynamics GP. So we have this web-based solution so that employees can come in here, they can enter the data directly on the timesheet, they can put in how much time they're working, how many hours, assign it to different departments, time codes, that sort of thing. And then all of this feeds directly back down into Microsoft Dynamics GP. We actually create a payroll batch that will go directly down into Dynamics GP, go through a full approval process, and these days there's a lot of rules-based system, a lot of rules that you can set up for, of course, overtime calculation and management, but also you can have different options for how your employees clock in if you want to utilize the web time clock, or if you want to use the mobile time clock on their smartphone, or if you do want to do the web time clock right here, or the kiosk, for example, kind of a locally installed application where the employee would clock in and clock out from a shared terminal. A variety of options that we have these days for the employees to enter their time on. And then as the employee signs and submits that timesheet, it'll go through a formal approval process that is ultimately then going to be fed back down into Dynamics GP once it's gone through the full approval workflow. So that would, of course, effectively enable you to avoid having to manually key transactions in those payroll batches in GP. It's literally going to create that payroll batch for you. All right, so kind of shifting gears from the employee portal and the web-based solution, we talked a lot about Greenshades Online and the variety of things that can produce, both from a compliance perspective and from an employee services perspective. And then, of course, we talked here about Green Employee. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is the Dynamics Payroll Inspector. So I just pulled that up here. I'm going to just minimize everything else so hopefully you can see the Payroll Inspector at this point. Hopefully it comes through all right. the Dynamics Payroll Inspector can really changing gears entirely. This is a compliance-driven product and it has nothing to do with the employee portal. It's not web-based. It's going to be installed locally in your environment. Of course, it has a full integration with Microsoft Dynamics GP. As the name implies, Dynamics Payroll Inspector. Literally what this application is doing is, again, kind of as it sounds, it's inspecting payroll for you in Dynamics. It's designed to be a second set of eyes to be looking over the data that you're keying into Dynamics. And so this product, in a lot of ways, it pulled from some different products that we've had over the years, and it was really based off of user feedback. Maybe some of the folks on the call right now who have provided us feedback over the years. You know, we've incorporated it into this product. So at its core, what this product is doing is scanning the server automatically on a daily basis, hourly basis, weekly basis. Depends on how frequently you want it to scan, but it's running automatically in the background, and it's sending you alerts anytime there's anything that you potentially need to address. So at its core level, literally the Payroll Inspector core module, what it's doing is verifying the employee identity using the Social Security number verification service, the SSNB service through the Social Security Administration. It's utilizing that, and it's verifying the employee addresses based off of the address that's in GP. It's comparing that against the U.S. Postal Service database. So here we see the employee address suggestions found. So in this case, we have set it up to be scanning all of those employee records in GP and it's saying, hey, we've got some addresses that appear to be incorrect, or maybe there's just some suggested changes that you want us to make. Maybe you know, instead of using abbreviations, you want things to be spelled out, or various things like that. Within the settings, you can control all of that so that as you're adding new employee information in GP, it's going to be scanning that and then giving you alerts for anything that potentially needs to be updated. If you choose to update that, you simply choose here, hey, update Dynamics with suggestions, and then we will make those updates accordingly. Same way here with the employee verification, it's going to be scanning all of those employee records in GP. It's looking at the Social Security number against the employee name, comparing that against the Social Security database, and then alerting you to anything that's not matching so you can do something to address that. And those are two things that we've actually done for years when you're doing the W-2s for us at the end of the year, because it's certainly an important time to do that before the W-2s go to the Social Security Administration and before W-2s get mailed out to employees. The challenge with doing it at that time is that for any employee that's no longer with the organization, if anything bounces back and the address is incorrect or the Social Security number bounces back, it's much harder to get a hold of the employee at that point. So, of course, our thought was, hey, we'll do it when it's a new hire, when you first add them in GP. At that point, generally pretty easy to get a hold of the employee. They just started, so they're really willing to kind of do whatever at that point. So if anything bounces back, you can go to that employee and say, hey, that address isn't working, or hey, that Social Security number, isn't right. And it's probably they've got a different name on file than what they're registered with as the Social Security Administration. I mean, same old that you guys have all dealt with before, but this is going to help catch those potential errors up front. So then from there, the Payroll Inspector can be expanded, and there's different widgets that can be added on to the program. One of those widgets is the Affordable Care Act Monitor. Another one is the Tax Manager, and then the third one is the Sick Leave Manager. So the Sick Leave Manager, the employee sick leave right here, at this point, it may or may not be applying to you. It really depends on where you have employees at. And you can see when you set up these new sick leave laws, at this point, a lot of it's in the Pacific Northwest and in California, and then some in the Northeast. So, it may not, if you're kind of more in the Michigan area, it may not have anything your way just yet. But a lot of these rules these days are requiring that employers who have employees working in certain locations and certain jurisdictions and certain cities, for every X number of hours they work, they have to accrue a certain amount of sick leave. And as more and more jurisdictions continue to add that at the state level, at the local level, and then maybe one day at the federal level, the sick leave module is continuing to add those new requirements into the system. And so even if you just have one or two employees working in one location for a certain period of time, it's going to be tracking all of that for you, again, directly based off of the data that's coming from GP, so that anytime there's anything that's potentially missing maybe you're not properly accruing sick leave for those employees, you can come in here and address that. And if you're in a situation where you're using a PTO manager type product already, like a comprehensive leave manager or something like that, those programs have been updated to support this type of thing. And in some cases, not in all cases, it'd definitely be something you'd want to look into. But for a lot of businesses out there that have really basic PTO needs, they don't have add-on applications to kind of manage that PTO process, but they need, from a compliance perspective, they need to make sure that they're properly maintaining sick leave hours for their employees. So this is something that can help manage that for you. And it's a really cost-effective solution. So the tax module is one of the other add-ons for this. So for those of you that are familiar with the local tax manager that we've had for, gosh, close to 10 years at this point, that has always been designed for keeping the local tax rates up to date in Dynamics GP, this has incorporated the local tax manager into this tax manager application, which is one of these, these widgets here in the Dynamics Payroll Inspector now. So in addition to keeping the tax rates up to date in GP, since those aren't provided in those updates from GP, you're provided the state and the federal rates, but the local tax rates are not provided. So it's going to provide still those tax rates, but it's also going to be actually making recommendations of what tax assignment needs to occur in GP. So as you add a new employee in Dynamics GP, there's going to be tax codes that need to be set up, of course at the federal level, but also at the state level. Certainly they might be in a situation where there's some state reciprocity agreements in place as well, where maybe the employee is working in one state, but they're living in another state. So you might need SUTA tax rates applied for one state and then state income tax applied for the other state. Maybe there's local jurisdictions that they're working in, so there's going to be local tax rates that need to be applied and assigned to the employee. This is going to monitor all of that for you so that as you have those new employees that come on board, it's going to see what you have set up in GP. It's going to look at the current tax codes that you have set up, and then anything that needs to be adjusted, it's going to make those recommendations to you. So in this case, we're saying, hey, here, you don't have any Alabama withholding tax set up right now. This employee is working in Alabama, so they need to have that set up. So it's going to recommend that. And then here it's going to say, hey, you currently have Alabama state unemployment tax code set up, so you're good there. So we don't have any further recommendations at that point. So you can choose, you can review all those results, and if you say, yeah, that looks good, let me update Dynamics with those suggestions, we're actually going to apply those correct codes to the employee back in GP, so you don't even have to do it manually. The system's going to do that for you. And this is something that personally, I know I was asking for a lot of years, because as businesses bring payroll in-house, certainly we've always been able to assist with the payroll tax filings and payments, but if the tax codes aren't set up correctly in GP and they're not assigned correctly, then the tax withholding would be incorrect in GP. And then, of course, ultimately the tax payments and returns would be incorrect. So this is all about assisting in getting that correct from the beginning so that everything else moving forward would be correct after you process payroll, because these things, the employee tax codes, this all runs before you process payroll. All right, so the last thing that I wanted to talk about here with the Dynamics Payroll Inspector is this Affordable Care Act widget that we have available. I mentioned earlier that we can assist with the 1095-C reporting to the employees and the 1094-C transmittal file to the IRS. I mentioned that the benefits enrollment solution has been updated in a very major way to support ACA compliance. If you're not using the benefits enrollment product and you choose not to for whatever reason, the Dynamics Payroll Inspector ACA module might be a good option for you, because you can actually manage the ACA compliance from here. So this is going to handle the eligibility tracking, so it'll help track which employees are actually full-time based on those hours of service worked. And then it's also going to help verify that the proper coverage is in place for your employees. And it works very similar to how the benefits enrollment product works. I didn't go through all the settings on the benefits enrollment product, but similar fashion, you can actually choose which pay codes. You'll see right here, if I kind of move the screen over, you can see in the background, you're actually getting to choose which pay codes we should be looking at in GP. And we'll be looking at all of those payroll transactions and actually calculating out the measurement period for you, and then determining which employees are working more than 30 hours of service per week over that measurement period. So it's going to be scanning all of your records automatically for you and inspecting that and alerting you to any employees who have completed their measurement period that now need to be offered insurance. So here, in this case, we're saying that we've got some employees who, if I can find some that, excuse me, that have some hours. So here's one where we're saying, hey, this employee has completed their measurement period. They worked on average 32 hours a week, so they're now considered full-time for ACA and they need to be offered coverage. And as with all the Greenshades products, we really want to provide you with as much information as possible and reasoning and kind of a background of all this. So we're explaining where we got the data from, what date ranges were used, and when this coverage must actually be offered by. So this is going to manage all of the eligibility, and of course there's reports that you can run at any point on demand that will show that, but it's monitoring all of that for you automatically, sending you alerts automatically. You don't have to come in here and run monthly reports or do anything like that. It's alerting you automatically. And then the coverage is going to work very similar in that you can map directly to your codes within GP. You can actually map to either payroll or HR, and you can assign your payroll codes with an ACA value, a representation of either, hey, this represents minimum essential coverage, or this represents minimum value plan. And it's going to be looking at those codes that are actually assigned to your employees in GP, and when it sees that some of your employees are full-time for ACA purposes, but they don't have a code assigned to them in GP, it's going to alert you so you have an opportunity to come in here and address that. And of course, one of the big things with ACA compliance is that at least 95% of your full-time employees need to be offered minimum essential coverage, only 70% in 2015, but starting next year it'll bounce back up to the full 95%. So this is going to monitor that for you so that if you fall below that threshold, it will alert you to that so you can see at any point the percentage of employees getting minimum essential coverage, and then all of your employees who are not receiving adequate coverage meaning a minimum value plan, or the plan that you're offering is not affordable. So you can come in here, it's going to present you with all of these details. Even the ones that are fully covered, you can see all their details. But if someone's receiving inadequate coverage, for example, we can come in here and see the reasoning for everything. Hey, in this case, we're offering the minimum essential coverage, we're offering their dependents coverage. Maybe some of them chose to waive coverage, that's fine, that doesn't matter as long as you're offering it to them. But in this case, the plan itself is not affordable. So we're stating that, hey, you need to adjust the premiums to stay below the radar when it comes to how much you're charging. You need to drop it down a little bit so you'll be able to state at the end of the year that you did in fact make a qualifying offer to that employee. And if you're not using GPHR, just like with the benefits management solution, you can load the dependents information directly in here, which is very important when it comes to self-insured employers who need to complete Part 3 for that 1095C. And so all this data that's collected throughout the year will actually populate directly on that 1095C at the end of the year. So if you're using the benefits enrollment solution, you wouldn't need this part, the ACA widget for the Dynamics Payroll Inspector, because the benefits enrollment would do that for you. But if you're not using the benefits enrollment, this may be a good option for you. So we've covered quite a bit of information today, really across the board. We talked a lot about the Greenshades Online system, and we talked about the employee portal, and then of course we talked about the Dynamics Payroll Inspector. And believe it or not, we've got so many things these days and so many areas that we could help with. I could probably talk for another 2 or 3 more hours, but I would be way too boring, and I'm not gonna do that to anyone. But my goal for today was to go through some of the new things that we have here at Greenshades, like the sick leave module and of course some of these ACA updates that we've done, but also just do some general refresher on our other products. We do monthly updates on all of our products, at least monthly updates. So we continue to make enhancements on a regular basis to all of our products. We have feedback links in all of our products, both on the administrator side and even on the employee portal that employees can use. So we take all that feedback and we truly do analyze that feedback, and we incorporate that into our monthly updates. So we're always updating the portal and then our software. So we always will continue to appreciate that feedback if anyone